Well, am I waiting for a confirmation, Sandy, or are we a go?
I think we're a go, Jim.
All right.
Good to go.
Good to go. That's what I was looking for, the good to go part. Hey, listen, thanks everybody for being on the call tonight. My name's Jim Webb. I'm a 200K Premier with Zango. Been with the company since 2003. And it's been quite an adventure for us. We're thrilled to have been part of the program, even a small part of the success of Zango. And we have been able to work with some really special people during those years, including my co-host, Carolyn Johnson, who's also a 200K Premier. And we've been together now for 14 years, 13 years, and it seems like just yesterday when we got started. So welcome, Carolyn, 200K Premier Multi-Million-Dollar Club member. Take it away.
Thanks, Jim. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to hear so many people on the call. And Jim, as he said, is co-hosts this call with me, and so appreciative of everything that I've learned from Jim and Candy, 200K Select Multi-Million-Dollar Club earners. And I also heard Dr. de Guzman, 500K Select, and Patricia de Guzman, another 500K. Thank you two for joining. Grace Dick from Canada. Not sure if Bob's on the line, but Grace, I know you're on the line. 200K from Canada, all very dear friends. And Grace, if you want to type your number into the comments. I know you guys have a call coming up in 30 minutes, always very informative. And I want to thank Sandy, 500K, and Ed, 500K Select Multi-Million-Dollar Club earners. Now, I point that out because all it means is that we've been at it a little longer than many of you, and we jumped right in with purpose and activity, and we were coached and mentored and took it pretty serious, and it's afforded us an amazing life and an opportunity to meet hundreds of thousands of people over the last 13 years, and it's been an honor and a privilege for me, as I know it has for others. So tonight, I am especially grateful to introduce our guest speaker, Barbara King Schmidt. Barbara, of course, was married to my cousin, Bob Schmidt, and we are cousins in love. She's actually my very favoriteest cousin. And they introduced me to Zango in March of 2003, and I've never looked back. I was mentored and coached by the best, and, even though we lost Bob in 2008, Barbara has continued to mentor and coach. She has a heart for others, and we've spent some amazing times together over the years, and I'm very appreciative of her family side of it and business and partner side of it. Barbara and Bob were my sponsors. Makes Barbara my upline, and I love that. So, Barbara, are you there?
I certainly am, Carolyn.
Yeah, multi-million club earner, multi-million-dollar club earner, friend and family member. Barbara and I have traveled to Japan together and, France and a couple of other places I know. And we've done meetings together for years. And, Barbara, you have a passion for working with people from a mentoring and coaching perspective. So I know that tonight you're going to talk about something very near and dear to your heart, and that is the power of one. So without any more time, let me just ask you to just take on over.
Well, thank you so much, Carolyn. We've had so much fun over the years, and I'm privileged and honored to be called your most favoritist cousin. I'm sitting here in my office looking out at the window at a foot of new, fresh snow. It just stopped, maybe half an hour ago, snowing, and we've got blossoms on the trees.
It's 80 here.
I don't want to hear about that.
Lots of flowers.
I love this spring weather, and as some of you may or may not know, I was born and raised in Canada, where we certainly got a lot more snow than this. So I kind of get this thrill when it's snowing. I love the snow. But let's get to the topic on hand. It's always worth reminding people of the power of one, of how important each person is, of how unique we all are, what we bring to the table, our fingerprints, our DNA. We're all special and unique, different gifts, different talents. We can grow and learn anything we want. So tonight I just want to remind you a little bit about the power of one. As you come into this great big wonderful world of Zango, each person that you meet is going to be unique and different and powerful in their own way, as you will be as well. So let's go to our next slide, please. If you've never been amazed by the very fact that you exist, you're squandering the greatest fact of all. Now, we're not that far since Christmas. We're just ending the first quarter of 2016, and every Christmas I watch It's a Wonderful Life. Now, if I could see you, I'd ask you to raise your hands. If you know the movie and if you've watched it, I'm sure most, if not all of us have. And I love the story of George Bailey, thinking he'd screwed up, thinking the world would be better off if he had never been born, and then Clarence the angel coming down, to show him how his life had impacted others and all the things that he had done in the town where he lived. And, George was eventually convinced that, he'd really impacted the lives of people where he lived. And he learned that you don't have to be a person of affluence to be a person of influence, and that his one life, really did make a difference. I love that movie. It's a good reminder, again, of the power of one, of every life making a difference. Let's go to the next slide. Talk about dreaming, planning. Dream without a plan is wishful thinking. I know you've heard that many times before. Our success begins the moment we understand that life is about growing, acquiring knowledge, and skills. And again, just ending the first quarter of 2016, I'm sure most of us on this call did some New Year's resolutions. And for most people, they're pretty common. I'm going to exercise more, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to eat better, things like that. But did you ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? What steps am I going to take this year to do that? What are the things that make me happy? It's not just a point in time when we become who we're going to be. It's really a journey. None of us are here by mistake. All around the world and all through the ages, like I said before, there's never been another you. There's never been someone with your fingerprint. There's never been someone with your DNA. The miracle of your existence is in your hands. My miracle is in my hands. We're here for a purpose, and we've got something to give that only each of us can give to the world. We've got to take the time to consider what that is. What can we give? Let's go to the next slide. I love this. Average or memorable, are you willing to alter the course? And sometimes we need to stay on the path we're on, but we just maybe need to do things a little differently or maybe a little better. And sometimes we come to a crossroads and we do need to take a different path. And we do need to move forward in a different direction. Many of you on this call have looked at the Zango opportunity and decided, wow, that could be a great path for me. And so you've gone on that path. But now maybe it's time to do things a little bit differently, do things a little bit better, plan a little more, dream a little more, and have that discipline to put those plans into action. Next slide, please. Your life can be a path of coincidences, happenstances, maybe even luck, or you can purposely chart a course that's going to touch the lives of others and make a difference. The kind of difference that only you can make. And if we truly want to soar and be free and change the world, we've got to decide to be responsible for our own lives, our business, our path, our happiness. We're in charge. So many times people don't want to take responsibility for their own lives. But you know what? It's yours. You get to choose. And, choose wisely. Change is hard, but change is so important if we're going to get where we want to go. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, accountability. To some, that's kind of a word that's gone out of fashion, but not in our business and not in the disciplined life that's moving down their path or their road, forging forward to get better and to be better. So accountability, being responsible for one's actions and decisions and accepting the consequences. Do we think about this accountability when we're making those New Year's resolutions? Yeah, they're revolutions sometimes too. Do we think about being accountable to ourselves, being accountable for the calls we make, the lives we touch, the people we help? Do we think about being accountable for the consequences of maybe not taking those actions or the joys of taking those actions? Next page, please. So let's talk about the action. Action means learning and growing. New things, maybe growing and becoming better with old things. With inactivity, we stagnate and atrophy. Nobody likes that. I remember a couple years ago now, I broke my wrist, and after getting it out of that little cast that I was wearing after several weeks, my hand was so weak, and of course I went to physical therapy, and we started working on bending my wrist again, but it had atrophied, and anytime we stay still, we atrophy. Whatever muscle it is that we're learning to grow, the self-discipline, whatever muscle it is, if we don't put it into action, it'll atrophy. Action is about finding solutions. We all have challenges. We have them every day. We have them many times a day. But if we take action, we'll find the solutions. If you're moving towards the solution, you'll find it, rather than sitting there, staying in the past with this problem and not moving forward to the solution. It's easy to sit in your chair or not look for a better way, but that keeps us, again, atrophied and stagnant. With action, we gain confidence. Carolyn talked about the passing of Bob about 8 years ago now, and I just decided that first year after he passed that I was going to say yes to everything that came my way. And that would do two things. It would move me through a really tough period, but it would help me figure out what I really love doing best. And I have to tell you, it's driving me a little crazy that I can't be looking you in the eye, that I can't see your faces, that I can't have you raise your hands. But you know what? I love to reach out, and as Carolyn said, it is a passion. Any one thought that I might give someone today is worth everything. So with that action that I took, the confidence grew that, hey, I could do this, or hey, I'm really good at that, or I love this. Had I not taken that action, I would have been in doubt. Well, what do I do really well? What are my strengths here in Zango? Do I give a decent meeting? Can I connect with people? All of those things that I did brought me the confidence that I needed to move forward. And that happened very early on for me in my first company in my 20s. I had to take that action to move forward and erase those doubts of trying something new. What does action look like to you? Do you have the courage to take the action that you need to, that action that is unique to you? Next slide. Sometimes we choose, to not take action until another time. Because of what? And, that's your own fill in the blank. Because we're tired, because we're weary, because we're not sure we can do it. Maybe we don't have the confidence we need. Some people think they need all the information, that they've got to have all their questions answered before they can take any step forward or any type of action. We think too much sometimes about what we'd like to have rather than moving forward to get it. But the start of a better world and a betterness in our world is our belief that it's possible. And that belief grows as you take action. Belief in your dreams, Believing that today can be a day that makes a difference. Belief that you're loved or that you can make a difference and build a better world. Belief when others might not believe in us. But belief maybe for some on the call that there's a light on the end of the tunnel, that we've made some choices and decisions that, life is going to get better and we've got some fun and important things to learn, or we've got people that will teach us. Belief that maybe you can be a light for someone else, or maybe that the best is yet to come. Believing in each other. Most importantly, believing in yourself. Let's go to the next slide. Success is what we have. It's not focusing on what we don't have. It's not wasting our time and energy. It's focusing on where we are, where we want to be, and then moving that way. There's always going to be barriers and walls to overcome anything, no matter what you're trying to accomplish. But we've got tools. People can be tools. This meeting can be a tool. Going in and listening to the recordings that have already been recorded, gaining insight, gaining wisdom. There are going to be barriers, but there's going to be ways to get around or over those barriers. I love this term, blame-storming. Brainstorming. I love brainstorming, but brainstorming, versus taking ownership. Again, that word accountable, being accountable. And then we're going to talk a little bit about working together. But I want to read you a quick little quote here from Benjamin Mays. He says, the tragedy in life does not lie in not reaching your goals. The tragedy lies in having no goal to reach. It isn't a calamity to die with dreams unfulfilled, but it is a calamity not to dream. It's not a disaster to be unable to capture your ideal, but it is a disaster to have no ideal to capture. It is not a disgrace not to reach the stars, but it is a disgrace to have no stars to reach for. Taking ownership and reaching for those stars. First of all, deciding what they are. Here's this serenity prayer I see you put up. I love it. The serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know it's me. Well, that's kind of hard sometimes. But again, here we are in the first quarter of a new year, and it's never too late, even if it was the last day of December. It's never too late to change and to know that the only person we can really work on is ourselves. Let's go to the next slide. So I want to know if you're inspired. Inspired people know why they do what they do. They're not restrained by pettiness. They come to life with a purpose and passion and with a daily desire to grow. Steve Jobs says it well. He says, your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And I believe Zango is great work. I believe it's a way to reach out, to touch people's health, to touch people's wealth, to make a difference. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. And if you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. Stay hungry and stay foolish. And that's a quote by Steve Jobs. I really like that. Stay hungry. Don't settle. Find out what this wonderful world of Zango is all about, why we're so passionate about what we do, and what is it that you're doing in your life right now that can really make a difference. Sometimes we can just make a difference by offering information, but here in Zango, we like to jump down in the ditches with you and make a difference. So that being said, let's move on to the next slide and talk a little bit about teamwork. Boy, I'm a real advocate for teamwork. For surrounding yourselves with others whose gifts and talents compensate for your weaknesses and enhance your strengths. So here, by definition, is work done by several associates, with each doing a part but all subordinating personal prominence to the efficiency of the whole. Okay, let's just look at this call tonight. This call is hosted by Jim Webb and Carolyn Johnson, two totally different personalities, two totally different backgrounds. We've got Sandy Cohen starting the recordings, doing her end. We've got, people behind the scenes, moving my PowerPoint. Everyone is working as a team for the efficiency of the whole. This call could not be without the several people I've just mentioned behind the scenes. In Zango, we really work as a team. Carolyn's mentioned the 500K that's on the call, two of them actually, and Sandy in the background is a 500K. Jim and Carolyn are both 200Ks, as am I. But, we work as a team. I don't have the same strengths as Carolyn. I don't have the same background. But we work great together because we have a lot of the opposite gift sets. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, we all know or have kids in our lives, and I want to ask you, why do kids love to work together so much? When you go to the grocery store and you see the brownies out there selling their cookies, one is talking to you, one is making change, the other one's finding the right flavor. They're laughing, they're giggling, they're having a great time. Why is it they love to work together? Boy Scouts, they do all kinds of activities, but I know they take campouts. You've got one coordinating the food and one bringing the tents, and everyone's going over their checklist that that someone made for them. They're working together as a team. So if you look at, say, the brownies or the Boy Scouts, who's the most important person in that organization? Look at the faces of these kids. Who do you think is the most important? Well, I would say everyone. They're all important, and that's what teamwork is all about. No one is more important than the other. In the best organizations, there's no such a thing as a them or a us. It's we. All of us working together, and in the big picture, everyone's got that unique role, that little piece of the puzzle. You do, I do, and each of those pieces make a difference. Let's go to the next slide. Here's something really important. Don't ever believe that someone made it to the top without the help of others. You're hearing 200Ks and 500Ks on this call, and maybe you understand what that means, and maybe you don't, and it doesn't really matter. You just need to know that for every dime we put in our pockets, someone makes $1. That's going to count. That counts for you too. As you start, just know as you help others gain their financial freedom and their health, get their health back, you're helping. You're not going to the top by yourselves, and you've got people helping you, and you've got people as the wind underneath your wings. Again, let me just refer to Jim Webb and Carolyn Johnson. Jim and Candy have done many trainings for me. They have a gift set and a background that I would never hope to copy. But in that way, they bring things that I would never be able to bring to my team. The same with Carolyn. She's got a background that I would never copy. She's got ideas and comments that come from her unique perspective. I don't have that perspective, so that's not something I would ever bring to my team. No one gets to the top without helping others, and that's going to be true for you. We have in our business some lone wolves, some people who like to do it alone, but you know what? They can never accomplish what they could by joining a team and working together. I love the law of accumulation. The sum total of a lot of things, a lot of little things, isn't little. And I'm not saying that people are little things, but we bring each our little gifts to the table, and that sum total isn't little. I'd like to close tonight, and I thank you for your attention. And again, I'm just so grateful to be on this call. I want you to think about the odds of you being born at this particular time, place, circumstance. What if you'd been born 10 years sooner? What if you weren't here yet? I don't believe that anything is an accident, and I believe we are all miracles. Let's go to the next slide. One of the reasons I do what I do is because I know there are people watching me. I don't know who they all are. I know sometimes people watch me and I have no idea. But two people that I do know watch me all of the time are my children. And I now have grandchildren as well, and I know they watch too. My kids have been my biggest cheerleaders. They have been excited to ask about and to watch what I do. They know I make a difference. And I can't think of a better way to be an example than doing what I do best and making a difference at every chance I can. And I don't know if you could think of a better way either than doing that same thing for the people that are watching you. Next slide, please. Or is that the final one? Okay, I guess that's the final one. Okay, before I conclude here, I want to read you the arithmetic of making a difference when 1 and 1 is more than 2. Service to others has its own arithmetic. And what we do in Zango is service. We serve others. Combine 2 or more good-hearted people in the pursuit of a common cause, and suddenly 1 plus 1 is more than 2. It's called synergy. We can all do a little something, but together we can do something truly amazing. If we use the arithmetic of service, there isn't a problem in this world that can't be solved. The hard part of convincing each person that they play a significant part in the equation, that each of us has something to give which can't otherwise be given. When we all contribute a very critical factor in the multiple effect. I just love that. You are important. Who you are, what you bring, what you have, what you've developed, and what you have yet to develop is very important. There is no accident, and it's no accident that you called in tonight and that you're part of this big, wonderful Zango family and that you're ready to make your difference in the world. So go and do it. And thank you so much for having me as a guest tonight, Carolyn and Jim. It's been a real pleasure.
Well, Barbara, I want to thank you for coming on, and I know that I've never heard you give this presentation that it doesn't remind me of how important it is to understand our differences. As a matter of fact, for those of you that don't know us, I know that when we've done meetings together with Grace and Betty Q and others, that generally when we introduce each other, we always introduce Barbara as the person that everybody gravitates, and then they introduce me as here she comes to just kick ass, tell it like it is. We definitely have our own personalities. But Barbara, thank you for taking the time to be with us this evening, and we're going to certainly have you come back and share some of the other presentations that we've done together over the years because they're very powerful.
Well, thank you, Carolyn.
So I appreciate it. So everybody, don't forget, this is the last few days of the ageless promotion for the month. 2 ageless, water bottle, the brochure, $199.95. That's a $69 savings, perfect time, plus your free shipping and handling. Perfect time to try our new product. And for those of you that tried it before, didn't care for the taste, time to try it again because, it's really important that you get that ageless. Dr. Templeman can't tell me enough about the things that they're seeing happening to people that have been on it for any length of time. So, the other thing I wanted to mention, you saw a couple of minutes ago, probably many of you noticed Adam Blake offering his assistance to you. Adam is here to help you understand your back office, the MyZango Builder, how you can text from your back office, how you can utilize your downline organization, understanding the comp plan, all of those things that probably many of us, me included, aren't the best at teaching. I'm thankful for Adam, and I am thankful that he's offering his time to you. So anybody that wants to contact Adam, please do so. I guess it would be adam.blake@zango.com. I'm assuming that's it correctly, Adam. So we'll get some information next week out on that to remind you that he is there to help you. He's made this offer and he's already starting to book up. So if you want more information, make sure you reach him as quickly as possible. And as always, Sandy comes in with the greatest endings. Life is supposed to be really, really, really fun. Really, 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 really fun. And unless you're in the driver's seat of your own life, it isn't. With that, I want to thank you all for coming. Next week is our first Monday of the month, and remember, we have a founder the first Monday of the month, and next Monday, we're excited that it will be Gordon Morton. So mark your calendars. We'll get notice out on it, but we're excited to have Gordon join us next Monday. And with that, Jim, if you'd like to say your closing words, I'd love it, and thank you, everybody.
Well, that was a marvelous presentation. Thank you so much, Barbara and Carolyn. We look forward to seeing you and hearing from you next week. Good evening.
Good evening. Good night, everyone.